Well, it's time to talk to Sonia from Bryan Insurance. And as in life, even in insurance, nothing is free.
Yeah, that's true. I know we've all seen those commercials. You know, they maybe the girl's talking about that she had a car that she loved so much that she gave it a name, and then she had a wreck, and then she found out that her insurance company was going to replace her car, and without taking out any depreciation. And of course, what they don't say, and it's in the fine print probably, is that coverage is available, but it costs additional premium. So I guess what I want to talk about today is that while there is nothing free, it's included in your premium one way or the other. There are differences in different kind of insurance policies. So that's what I thought we would talk about today, starting with homeowners.
One of the things about insurance policies I think everybody needs to know is before you purchase one, you've got to read the fine print. You got to see exactly what you're covered for, home, car, whatever it may be. You got to look at the policy or find somebody who knows what they're talking about and let you know exactly what you have.
Yeah, you really do. And, you know, the policies they're contracts, and they are sometimes difficult to understand. And so I really urge everyone to work with an agent that can show them the coverages, go over what the policy does and does not cover, and then read it for yourself as well. But they are very complex contracts sometimes and not easy to understand.
They do write them in English, but it's in kind of a legal English.
It is. And some of these original language were written back in the 1900 early 1900s, and so anyway, it is difficult, and it's not impossible to understand, but it is a specialty type of thing. So just the first thing I want to talk about is that your policies, they're not all going to be the same. Different companies offer different things. And so we'll start off by talking about homeowners insurance, and this would be the same thing as a renter's policy as well. That, as most people know, is if you own a house, it covers damage to your house, your contents, liability if something happens and someone's hurt and it's your fault on the property. And then the renters, of course, would cover the same thing except no building. But there are some things that some homeowners policies do cover that makes them not all the same.
That's the thing is that, you could get a homeowner's policy and have somebody living right next door to you. There'd be a storm or something happen, and your policy and their policy are two different worlds.
That's true. Many years ago, the state of Texas made it possible for insurance companies to file their own forms, and so every company can have different coverage forms. They're not all the same. It's not like going to the grocery store and buying bread. It's not all the same. It's different. For example, now I would say that all homeowners, or if not all, almost all homeowners policies have additional living expense coverage, which is very important. If you have a covered loss, if you have a fire, or you have a loss that's covered on your policy and you can't stay at your house while it's being repaired, that additional living expense coverage pays for you to either stay at a hotel, rent something. That's a very important coverage, and you need to know that there is a dollar limit on that coverage, so you need to find out what yours is and see if it could be increased if you think it might cost you more than the limit. So that's something that you might look at on your homeowner's policy.
I know a lot of people, when they run into problems like that, roof damage, or like you say, there's a fire, or whatever the case may be, they immediately assume that these things are all built into the policy, and they need to find out before it happens.
They do, that's right. And there's all kinds of interesting endorsements that I've seen. Some insurance companies will cover damage to a gravestone. If you're the caretaker of a headstone and it's damaged or vandalized on your property at the or at the cemetery, which is more than likely where it's going to be, then your homeowner's policy may cover it if your company offers that coverage. That's something that you might not even think about, but there's insurance companies that cover that. We've talked about this a lot with going back to school, but your student that is off in college, and if someone steals things from their dorm, it's very possible that your homeowner's policy may cover it. I'm not saying they all do. I'm saying if yours is written in such a way, your policy may cover it. Then there's some other things, falling objects. You remember when it was the thing that exploded over... I can't think, and now this is sounding
like
crazy.
The space shuttle.
The space shuttle, yeah. Okay, and people had things falling out of the air and landing on their houses, and I know that's crazy, but there's even been large chunks of ice fall or plane tires. It happens, and most insurance companies, your homeowner's policy will cover that. And then something that happened when I was growing up to my family, we went on vacation, and while we were gone, our deep freeze went out, and all of the meat inside the deep freeze ruined, and that actually was covered on our homeowners policy. So again, I want to make sure that I'm clear. They're not all the same, but these are some things that you need to ask about if that's something that you're concerned with. And then something that we've talked about a lot is that data security, unauthorized use of your credit cards, identity theft. A lot of homeowners policies cover that, but they don't all. So you need to find out if that's something that concerns you.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is that if there are things that you're worried about that are taking place nowadays, you need to call your agent and say, do I have this coverage? And if you don't, they can add it.
Yeah, and maybe the company you're with doesn't offer that, but someone else does, and so you need to know. And then there's a few things that are not covered on homeowners policies. Wear and tear. If your property just starts to wear out, it deteriorates, that's usually not covered on your homeowner's insurance. Another thing that is not covered on a homeowner's policy is flood. That is rising water. Unless that water comes from an opening in your roof, you're not going to have coverage for flood. And I know we would have never thought we would talk about this in Texas, but earthquake is not usually covered on your homeowner's policy. So those are some things that especially the flood and the earthquake, if you're concerned with, you need to get a separate quote because your homeowner's policy will not include those things.
Now, you were talking earlier about the car insurance situation. Total replacement, depreciation. I think one of the biggest things is a lot of people, if they have a car breakdown or have a car wreck or whatever, they immediately assume that they have a rental into their insurance policy. If you're just getting basic liability, you don't have a lot of that stuff.
That's right. And sometimes you may decide that it's not worth what it costs for that additional coverage. But you just need to at least have the option. Because again, like we started off saying, it's not free. If you're going to have those extra coverages, they're going to be charged some way, either in with your premium or as an endorsement. But, at least find out, and then you can decide if it's worth it or not to you. But I can't say enough, insurance is not a commodity. It's not something you can just go and pull off the shelf. You really need somebody you trust that can advise you, help you get quotes, and give you the advice you need.
Now, if some folks need to get a hold of you, ask any questions, anybody at Bryant Insurance, how they do it.
Well, you can call us, 940-549-2525. You can come see us on the second floor of the Sierra Bank Building in downtown Graham, Texas, or you can visit us on the web at www.bryanins.com.
That's Sonia with Bryant Insurance. Let you know the latest on what's going on in the insurance agency. Stick around. We have more coming up here on your 8 o'clock hour.